Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Everyday I'm Mothering. So today I'm going to be sharing a few of the books that we've used in our household that our daughters have absolutely loved and that we have really appreciated that address different issues involving body awareness. So oftentimes it can be difficult to find materials that address these type of issues in an age-appropriate way, but are also informative and accurate. We weren't really interested in things like the stork myth or things like that. From the beginning, my husband and I have always been in the mind frame that we wanted to introduce these topics to our children using things like correct body parts names, giving them a sense of confidence and understanding about their body. I'm always on the lookout for materials that will accomplish that. And I have found some great books that we found really helpful. And so I wanted to share them with you in the hopes that, these will also be useful for you. Now for us, we have 3 girls, a 7-year-old, 5-year-old, and 2-year-old. So, obviously they understand these books in different ways based on how old they are. But most of these we've been using for a while, and we continue to use them now. Now, 2 of these would be appropriate for boys and girls, but 1 is tailored more specifically for girls. So the very first book we purchased was this one, My Underpants Roll. We started reading this book at a pretty early age to Elena. I would say maybe 2 and a half, 3. As soon as she was able to really talk and understand, we were trying to read this book, and then we've just continued it with the other girls whenever, and if they understand and pick it up, great. It was really important for us that the girls realize, what was appropriate, identify private parts, understanding who can see those, what they can do if someone asks to see or tries to touch. We really wanted to empower them with understanding and then also actions they can take. And this book is such an age-appropriate way to do that. It's still a fun book. Kids love it because it looks like they're superheroes, and it doesn't come from a place where it might scare them or make them nervous. I've read some books to them, which I didn't properly vet beforehand, where it turned a little bit dark and almost kind of scary with that stranger concept. And I didn't want that to be the takeaway. I wanted the takeaway to be, they do have private parts. What are the proper names for them? When is the appropriate time for someone to see or touch them? What they can do if that rule is ever broken, actions they can take, and who they can talk to. So this book is really good and really important. I strongly encourage you to use proper words for children's anatomy. I know that that's sometimes a sensitive subject and people get really uncomfortable with it. It is so important. From just a reporting standpoint, if something were to ever happen to them, they need to be able to use the correct words. It's so much less likely that something would go unnoticed if they are able to correctly say and identify what is happening. Now, I'm not going to say that we never use, cutesy little slang words in the house. I really try not to, and to stress that there's no difference in elbow versus vagina or penis. They're all just body parts, and we should be comfortable saying them with our children. So please try to do that. If it does make you uncomfortable, just try to work on it and acknowledge it. Now, I will say that, this isn't the book that everyone's going to be comfortable reading to your children. For some reason, my girls loved this book, and anytime that my dad was down and wanting to read a book, they would always go get this, and he would start reading it and immediately be extremely uncomfortable. So, he stopped reading it, but then they picked up on that, thought it was funny, and kept coming back to him with it. But that's okay. This isn't a book that everyone needs to read, but it is important, I think, to have it and have that dialogue, with your children about it and help them understand and empower them. That we started reading was this beautiful girl book. Now this one is going to be when they're a little older, so I would say Elena was probably 5 when we started reading it for her. Even Adeline, at probably about the age of 4, even though she doesn't really understand it, she still enjoyed the book. So this is one that's going to be more specific to girls. My mother actually found this one and sent it to us, and at first when we read it, Greg and I both were just a little taken aback and weren't quite sure how we felt about it and if we wanted to read it. But after looking at it more, we really like it now. And what's neat about this book is that it's starting to introduce the topic of, your body changing and what makes a girl different and special. It's told in a way that is really more magical. So it uses a lot of, nature, magic, fairies, whimsical, and almost more of a poetic way of talking about the changes that will happen to your body, things that are going to come up, that your body is special and something to be treasured, but that there are going to be changes that happen as you get older. It doesn't get into the specifics of what that is, but it's a really nice way to just start the dialogue at an early age. My girls love the pictures in it. They love the way it's presented. Even if they don't fully understand it, it's just a really beautiful book. So the next book that we just introduced last year is this Amazing You. Now I do think this is for even older children than the other two books. So we started reading this to Elena when she was 6, and I don't know that she even fully got it all then, so we're going to continue to read it this year. My middle daughter doesn't really understand this book at all, but again, I mean, I like her still sitting down and hearing it, even though we're not going to get into as much detail with her right now about it. This is where you really start getting into more information about body parts, how they are different for boys and girls, how they change as you get older. Then it does introduce more about how babies are made. It doesn't get into the intercourse part of it, but it does address, you know, the sperm and the egg and how they actually create the baby. And for us, that's been really helpful because Elena had been asking a lot of questions. And, you know, when you're not really prepared, it can kind of take you aback. And I'm not sure I was answering it in the best way. And I was trying to give her as much of the science parts as I could. We've been very forthcoming that babies come out of the vagina. That's how they're born. You know, I've had 3 home water births, so my girls have been there to see their sisters born. So that part isn't really that surprising for them. But she wanted to know a lot of information about how the baby was made, how the DNA worked, how everything got there. So this helped really provide that science piece for her that she was looking for without necessarily getting into all the other parts. There is another book that I've seen recommended quite a bit, but in looking at the pictures and the information in that one, I felt like it was just a little too much for her right now. I don't think she needs quite that much of an illustration or information on intercourse, but as far as the science piece of how a baby is made, I think this one is really helpful as well. So those are the 3 books that we use in our house, some of them for years, and our girls really enjoy them. I find them very useful. Now they each have a very specific purpose that they fulfill, and we've just been very happy with them. So hopefully one, if not all of these, spoke to you as something that you may be able to use in your household with your children. But if you know of any others that you think that I'll enjoy, please leave them in the comments down below. And if you pick these up, let me know your thoughts. And I will link all these books down below as well so you can easily find them. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel and make sure to check it out. There's a lot more videos like this out there. Bye everyone.